They are gonna regret big time for driving them out after doing all the work and saving their life. What a dumb people. Right after being isekai'd to another world, they were all clueless, scared like normal people would, but not the nerds. They immediately adjusted to the new environment and the danger they are in. When a group of goblin appeared, they nerds step in when the strong delinquent and the popular boys are scared to death. They beat the goblins easily. The class rep gathered all the students and organized them for camping on Riverside for safety. But when it came to set tent, gather firewood, cook, the popular girls and boys refused to work and complained to be bored. What a load of crap. The nerds do all the work and even guard the area. Even after all this, the others chase them out. But why? Then who is gonna save them now? What a foolish group of people. A otaku boy whose only interest is reading manga suddenly notices a summoning circle in the middle of the classroom, and it is growing. What do other person will think? Like, what is that, right? But not him. As a otaku, he knew in the first glance that it is a summoning circle. And what is his second thought? He doesn't care about other friend and classmate. He thought if he go to Otherworld, he would not be able to read manga. So he tried to avoid the summoning circle like a normal people. He tried to running away, but the door is locked. That's a given, right? Then he start looking for other way to escape, and he find one, on the ceiling, an AC duct. After trying some, he succeed to climb in it, and finally succeed to avoid the summoning circle. Is that it? Is that the end? Nope, this is just the beginning. The summoning circle starts creeping through the vent, and voila! Now he is in front of God. God is in panic. Apparently the rest of the class was out in the new world already. But when it came to select skills, all the good skills are gone. It was first come, first serve. So if you know, can you comment who got the good skills? When he make fuss about not getting a good skill, the god irritated said, "Take all leftover and F off." Thus his new life in another world began. Just like a game, he got the beginner set, a magic bag that can hold infinite items and all basic gear. But among them he got an underrated op item, set of dice. He rolled it and M came out. He put the allocated points to luck and luck maxed out, and now the god is cooking. But that means he was lucky all along. But was he though? Because he cannot form a party. Now his dream of making a harem is down the drain. And his classmates? Nowhere to be found. But honestly, who cares? All he really needs is a safe spot to camp and some food to eat. Luckily, he's got these nifty contact lenses that give him the ability to scan and appraise things. Pretty useful, right? He can now detect medicinal herbs, edible mushrooms, nuts, and even birds. While wandering around, he finds a river, fills his bottle, and drinks. But is it safe? Who knows? After some more exploring, he stumbles upon a cave. It's spacious, and after a quick check, it seems safe enough. Plus, he has a few handy items, including a magic lantern that wards off monsters. Perfect. He gathers some twigs, uses a fire-starting spell, and voila! He's got himself a little campfire. As the day winds down, he checks his stats. Level 2 already? Not bad. The next morning, he wakes up, realizing no monsters attacked during the night. Seems like the lantern's doing its job. It's now day 2 in this strange new world, and while everything's going relatively smoothly, his stomach growls. Time to eat. He lights a fire, tosses some meat from his bag into a pan, adds a few mushrooms he gathered earlier, and has a satisfying breakfast. Now, it's time to figure out the next steps: food, security, and maybe some exploring. While foraging, he finds some more medicinal herbs. But then, wait, his perception skill picks up movement. Goblins. His first real fight in this world. His weapon? A stick. Not exactly ideal. He focuses his magical energy into it and charges at the goblins, smacking them down one by one. Somehow it works. By the end of the day, he's feeling pretty good. Another successful day. After checking his stats again, he eats dinner and goes to sleep. The next morning, however, he's down to just mushrooms for food. He really needs to find some meat. Setting out, he picks up a mushroom, but wait, where's the meat? No more meat? How did this happen? Now it's time to practice magic. He tries out a new spell, Warp. It's like teleporting, and not only does it make him faster, it even boosts his attacks. Confident, he heads out to take on more goblins. Piece of cake. Things are going well, until he stumbles upon a larger group of goblins and, well, chickens out. Maybe next time. After some magic practice and goblin bashing, the days pass by. By day 5, he's a lot stronger, taking out goblins with a single shot, building better furniture, and even setting up a wooden gate for his cave. But still, no meat. That is, until he finds a scared little rabbit. Finally, some meat. But then, his perception skill picks up something else. Movement. Behind him, it's his delinquent classmates. He hides, but his skill also picks up another group, the girl gang, and then the nerd gang, and the class president's gang. He's cornered. The class president? He's known her since elementary school. Maybe he could join her group? But then again, this life of freedom, where no one tells him what to do, that sounds pretty unbeatable. He decides he'll conquer this world on his own. Just as the delinquents get closer to his hiding spot, the rabbit unexpectedly pops out and distracts them, saving him. That was close. If they'd found him, His dream of mastering this world solo would have been over right there. Out of curiosity, he follows them, keeping his distance. What are they talking about? Typical stuff. Teenage boy talk about the vice class rep and the swim team girls. Nothing new. But then he overhears something troubling. They've got some unique skills and are planning something. Back in his cave for dinner. Mushrooms again, of course. He thinks about what he heard. At least his level's gone up. The cave's starting to feel like home now, with handmade furniture, a proper bed, and even a fireplace. It's far from perfect, but he's making progress. By day 7, he hears some noise, right outside his door. His first thought? Oh no, is it the delinquent gang? But it's not. It's the nerd gang, and they're in the middle of a fight with a bunch of goblins. Surprisingly, they're holding their own, looking pretty strong. Their skills and levels seem high, probably around level 16. He thinks to himself, these guys are isekai pros. Then, his perception skill picks up 2 goblins sneaking up behind the nerds. Now what? He owes these guys. They used to share their manga with him back at school, so he figures he should help. He jumps in, takes out the goblins, and saves them. But now his cover's blown. So much for his peaceful, solo life. The nerds thank him for the save and, without hesitation, invite themselves over to his cave. When they step inside, their jaws drop. His place, crafted with earth magic, is impressive, and they're totally floored by how fancy it is. Curious, he asks them what's going on, why they're out in the woods at night, and what happened to everyone else. What they tell him blows his mind. They explain that after everyone got isekai'd, most people freaked out, but not the nerds. They adapted fast. When a group of goblins first appeared, the nerds handled them while the strong delinquents and popular kids stood around scared. The class rep tried to rally everyone and set up camp by the river for safety. But when it came time to gather firewood, set up tents, or cook, the popular kids refused to lift a finger, whining about how bored they were. The nerds ended up doing all the work, guarding the camp, keeping everyone safe. But then, out of nowhere, the others kicked them out. Why? Turns out, the delinquents had been leveling up in secret, and some of them had unlocked creepy skills like charm and puppeteer. That's when the nerds realized things were about to go downhill. They had overheard the delinquents talking about using their new abilities to manipulate the girls. So, the nerds told the class rep about the plan. A few days later, the delinquents struck. They tried to use their charm abilities on the class rep herself. She confronted them, and, predictably, things escalated into a fight. The delinquents didn't stand a chance, though. They were defeated in seconds. The nerds urged the class rep to use her seal ability to lock down the delinquents' charm and puppeteer skills before they could cause more trouble. With their scheme exposed, the delinquents were kicked out of the camp. It seemed like the situation was under control, but that night, the delinquents returned. They were furious. In a fit of revenge, they set the camp on fire, destroyed everything, and terrorized the girls. The next day, when everyone returned to the ruins of their camp, guess who got the blame? The nerds. Everyone, led by the girl gang, accused the nerds of causing the whole mess by picking a fight with the delinquents. No one cared that the nerds were just trying to stop something far worse. Even the class rep tried to defend them, but it didn't make any difference. The nerds were outcasts, and now, they're on the run, trying to level up so they can stand a chance against the delinquents and their twisted plans. The whole situation had become too much for the nerd gang. So, they left. And really, who could blame them? I mean, think about it. Why stick around when you're doing all the work, protecting everyone, and getting 0 credit? But now, who's going to defend the camp? Who's going to protect everyone from the delinquents? It's like the rest of them are fools for kicking out the only group keeping them safe. Haruka, though, is proud of the nerds. They've been through a lot, and to show his appreciation, he even throws together a small feast for them. The only problem? No meat, just mushrooms. Still, they spend the day together, and for once, Haruka finds that not being alone isn't so bad. So, is he going to stick with them? The next morning, he decides to part ways. The nerds beg him to come along. They're good guys, and they're heading downriver to look for a town where they can start adventuring. But Haruka declines. His mind is on someone else, the class rep. On his way to the river camp, Haruka encounters a kobold. It bites his hand, but he quickly smashes it to death. When he finally reaches the camp, it's a mess, completely destroyed, and no one's there. Just as he's trying to figure out what happened, his enemy detection skill picks up a trail. He follows it and soon finds the girl gang. His instinct is to turn and run the other way, but the girls beg him to stop. They're desperately looking for the nerd gang. Haruka, confused, asks why. To his shock, they want to apologize. Apparently, the girls now fully regret how they treated the nerds. They realize that they're only alive because of them. Haruka can't believe it. He's certain they'd never have apologized in the real world. But here they are, genuinely sorry. He tries to explain that the nerds are long gone, and they'll probably never find them, but the girls insist they have to try. Haruka looks at them, doubting whether they have what it takes to survive in the wild. Can they even fight monsters? Or are they going to give up the second things get tough? But then, the girls start crying. They just want to make things right, no matter what. In their desperation, they ask Haruka to teach them how to survive. They want to be strong, so they can find the nerd gang and apologize. Haruka, caught off guard, accidentally says yes, and just like that, he becomes the commander of the girl gang. Thanks to his subjugation skill, the girls start following his orders like trained soldiers. It's almost scary how quickly they learn, extracting monster crystals from corpses, sharpening their survival skills. Haruka starts worrying about what the class rep would think if she saw this. She'd probably be furious, right? Just as he's lost in thought, someone approaches. It's the class rep, standing right behind him, trying to get his attention, but Haruka's too distracted to notice. What will happen to Haruka now? What will the class rep say? Stay tuned for the next part of the story.